Okay, this is how I go about decorating my cutout pieces. These are some cutout pieces that I have. I use cookie cutters and some stencils to cut some of my pieces out. Now I'm ready to decorate them with the liquid polymer. I used Sculpey liquid polymer, but I've also used other liquid polymers. So I like to use a stylus sometimes. Here's a stylus. It's just a ball point onto it. I like to use sharp edges. I particularly like this little sharp tool from regular Earth and Clay. It's one of their tools that they use. You could use a credit card, maybe even a piece of cardboard. I have not tried it, but I think eventually it would just soak the polymer up. I've used cookie cutters, dip them in the liquid polymer also, and get nice results. Okay, first of all, what I like to do is after I've got my cut pieces out, I like to texture them to get rid of all my fingerprints. But I also kind of make sure that the edges are nice and smooth. Sometimes when you cut out, you have just an edge that's kind of rough. So I check my edges to make sure that I have gotten them smoother. I will take just the regular gamut of things that you can use to stamp with or to texture with. This happens to be a piece of a thread. So I'm just going to lay it down and press it down. You see that it gives a nice little texture to it, and it covers up a multitude of sins. So I like that effect. Can you see that? Oh yeah. You can see that it does have some texture. It actually has enough texture that after you've cured the piece, you could probably antique it some, which would be kind of pretty. Maybe if you antiqued it in a darker color and let the antiquing just stay down into the texture of this thread would be nice. Oh, I got that one a little deeper. I think I'm going to have to go back over the other one. That gave a nice little texture to it. And you can go back if you feel like you need to. I think I am going to go back on this one just a little bit. Give it a little bit more pressure. Yeah, now they both look alike. And I might make these a pair of post earrings or have something dangly. That's why that little piece, or these two little pieces. Just thought it would be kind of pretty. So now they are textured and they're ready. If I can get this one off. Probably would have been good if I had put a little Armor All or a little water onto that thread sheet so the clay would not stick to it. So now I'm ready to design on my piece. Here's my liquid polymer. Since there's a little orange in there, I may try putting on a little orange lines. They don't show up a whole lot, but they show up some. I like to take and lay my earrings in the design that they're going to be when you're wearing them, so that when I put my liquid on it, I do try to kind of mirror, although I'm not always successful at that, but I try. So there. That orange and green looks rather nice together, I think. And all you have to do is just wipe your tool off, and then you can re-dip in another color. I'm dipping in the green. Sometimes you can really get a really fine line. I wish I could get that every time. I guess if I practiced more, I could. There, I didn't on that one, so I'm going to make this one a little fatter. There we go. Just so they kind of match each other. Or at least look like they're related. This here is a tool from cake decorating. Just a piping tool, they call it, I believe. Comes on those canisters of icing. They're actually disposable, but I recycle them and use them for other things, like polymer clay decorating. And they're just making little bitty circles. And, you know, they have a lot of miniature cookie cutters out there. They would make nice things to make little circles with. But this one was just handy. I found it in my stash. So, also a stylus. This is a ball, rather large ball stylus. I love the black. It just really shows up well on the clay. And to get equal sized dots, you dip it fresh each time you dip it. And typically I like to go with an odd number. And I like to use different size styluses, or anyway, the ends of it. I like to use different sizes. It's a different one that's much smaller. Because when you're designing, variety of size can be even more interesting. Let's see, that was that dot right there. And I jumped over to the other side. Okay, there. I think that's enough. So it's got texture and it's got design. Although, you know, it might be kind of pretty. At that X, I don't particularly like just an X. Maybe to not accentuate that X quite so much as just crossing over. There. Then I pick up the piece carefully, and if it's got a lot of liquid polymer on it, I will let it sit, and I apply it to my Fat Daddy-O cake pan, which is going to give it a bit of a domed look. I look at it from the side to make sure there's no air pockets, so I gently tap in it. Don't want to make any fingerprints either, if I can prevent it, but I want to make sure I don't have any air pockets. I want to make sure that it's got a nice suction to the cake pan. And I just noticed this one particular piece has the end cut off, so I guess I better cut that other end off or something. Let me see. I better figure out which is the top and which is the bottom. Must have nicked it with my knife. But it also, let me see, it was going this way. See that? That's where I'll correct the shape. I could correct it after it was baked, though, because polymer you can cut even after it's cured or baked, whichever you want to call it. Getting those air pockets out, checking it all the way around. But I think what I'll do is I will trim it now. Now that doesn't look real straight, so I'll shape it up. And now they look very similar. And I will bake it or cure it in my toaster oven around 375, but not over 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'll put it on the shelf, and I usually have on the shelf in the little toaster oven, I have a tile that I set the bowl on the shelf that comes with the oven. Then I take a piece of aluminum foil or aluminum pan and place over it, making sure it's not touching any of my pieces, because if it touches the pieces, it's going to leave a little mark, usually a little shiny mark. So I pay attention to that real good. And then I bake them for an hour, so at the temperature. Oh, these are pieces I could have put on there too. I may just do that. That will cover up that. I knew I'd cut those little pieces for some reason, so I can place those on there. And that will cover up that cut and making a different styled earring. Let's see. have to look straight down on them to make sure you've kind of got them the same way too. That one looks like I was probably running low on my clay at the time when I was doing this, and I was getting real chintzy probably, and that's why I'm kind of have nicked a few areas. But there we go. You all bake good, okay? Thanks for watching.